Hello everyone! Today I am doing the 6 fan art challenge again. If you want to see the first video of me doing this, I will leave that in the iCard. And if you want to look up these shows yourselves, I will leave the names of these shows in the description for you to check out if you want. And with that, let's get started, shall we? So the first character that I am drawing is Sailor Moon from, well, Sailor Moon. And Sailor Moon is about these people who used to live on the moon 1,000 years ago and then got reincarnated in the modern day and have to fight various supervillains who do whatever they want on their evil agenda at that point. So Sailor Moon, I had to choose one Sailor outfit because she had like multiple different Sailor Moon outfits throughout the show. So here I'm just working on the second sketch layer, making sure I had all the details for the Sailor Moon outfit before going on to the line art. And she has this really fabulous hair with like her buns and her ponytails, but I still don't know how she was able to make it look so perfect every day. I mean, I know it's animation and you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but like, how do you make that so perfect? Like, how do you keep your hair so perfect all the time? So here I'm just working on the line art, and for her sailor stripes, I colored in the stripes first and then drew them over with the line art, and I'm not sure how well that worked out, but here I'm just coloring everything in before working on the highlights and the shading. So here's the shading for everything and going in the background and the text, and with that, Sailor Moon is done, and now I am working on Inuyasha from, well, Inuyasha. And Inuyasha is about this half-demon named Inuyasha and the human girl named Kagome. Now, Kagome lives in modern times, and then she fell in a well that was on her property and ended up in the feudal era, where she met Inuyasha. So, Inuyasha and Kagome, along with various members of the cast, go around to defeat demons that are terrorizing the feudal era. So, here I'm just working on the second sketch layer before going in and doing the line art. And here I'm giving Inuyasha his bushy brows. Now, there are 2 characters in the last video that I gave bushy brows, so I think I also kind of made Inuyasha that opportunity to say, oh hey, you actually know this, and you're not just had 2 miraculous attempts last time. So, I'm also working on his hair and dog ears, and he got his dog ears from his dad, who was a demon, so I wanted to make sure that they looked like dog ears and not just random tufts of hair, so I think that came across okay. So there is that. And I kept working on the brows for a little bit. I needed to stop working on those brows a little bit. I think, like, especially after seeing a work for so long, you start to just notice all the bad things about it. Even if it's, like, a really good work, you, like, just, since you're the one who's working on it, you, like, start to nitpick every little thing. And I need to stop doing that. It's not good. Like, there are good things about this piece, and like the brows turned out pretty well in the end, as well as like the hair and everything else. So I actually rather like the way I did in Inuyasha. So here I'm just working on the line art for everything. So here's the necklace and everything else before I do the base colors. And I keep going over the lines. I keep telling myself not to do that, yet I still somehow keep doing it. And I need to stop. Why? So, here I am working on the base colors before going in and doing the highlights and the shading. His hair was sort of this off-white, so I just shaded it in black and lowered the opacity for the shading layer. So, here I'm just finishing the shading before lowering the opacity for everything. And after lowering the opacity, I'm putting in the background later and just putting in the text later, and with that, he is done, and now I'm working on Ladybug from Miraculous Ladybug. Now, Miraculous Ladybug is about 2 people, Marinette Dupain-Cheng and Adrian Agreste. Both Marinette and Adrian acquire a Miraculous. So, Marinette gets the earrings of the Ladybug Kwami, which is Tiki, that allows her to have the power of creation, while Adrian gets the ring of the Cat Kwami, which gives him the power of destruction. So here I'm just sort of nitpicking with the hair and just sort of like trying to fix the pigtails as well, because something seemed a little off while I was drawing Ladybug. Maybe that was just me not taking a break because I kept working on the artwork over and over just trying to make it seem exactly right. And I probably should have taken a break, but at the same time, I also wanted to get the video done. So I kept readjusting the pigtails a little bit just to try to make it seem right. Maybe it was the pigtails, maybe it was the chin, I don't know. But here I'm just putting the spots on her mask before going into the second sketch layer. I'm kind of just going over everything, making sure all the details are just right before I move on to the line art. And you'll see I go over the pigtails again in the second sketch layer because, I don't know, I kept trying to make her look really good. And I don't know, I think it might have also been because I really like the show as well. Like, you know, I'm doing famous characters, so it's like, I really want to show that I like these characters and that I can do them, like, justice. So, I don't know, it might have been a mixture of that and just a mixture of me doing it for too long is the fact that I kept trying to go over everything over and over. So, here I'm just working on the line art. The line art went rather smoothly before I did the base coloring, and the base coloring also went rather smoothly, and I did the shading for the hair and her skin, and I don't know, her hair, like, now that I colored it, it's like, it looks so nice. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm gushing over this art. It's just, I don't know, I like Ladybug so much. Sorry if that kind of comes across way too much. So, in the show, her Ladybug costume was also a little shiny, so I tried to emulate that a little bit by just having, like, lowered opacity of white and just drawing that over the mask and the suit. And I also did highlights on her hair, and I'm going to add a green background, right, Ladybug, and with that I am drawing Kishu from Tokyo Mew Mew. Now, with Tokyo Mew Mew, I was kind of debating whether to do another Tokyo Mew Mew character, and then I was like, well, you know what, I already did 2 Avatar The Last Airbender characters in the last video, why not do another Tokyo Mew Mew character? So, Kishu was the henchman for the main antagonist of the show, Deep Blue, and he had a crush on the protagonist, Mew Ichigo. So I'm just working on his face before doing his hair. And with his hair, like, I don't know, I didn't like the way I did his hair at first, but it turned out okay in the end. And Kishu's race also has this, like, really long ears. So I tried to copy his ears too without them seeming too big either. So here I'm just sort of elongating the top of the head for the hair, and also doing his little, like, hair bands as well. So also I added some hair to the back of his head, and I don't know, I think that kind of looked nice in the end. So here I'm doing the second sketch layer, just going over everything for Kishu, and I don't know, I really liked his design. It might have also been those little, like, I don't know what you call those. They're like ponytails, but not in the front. I don't know what you call those. Can somebody tell me what you call those? Like, if you know what to call those, can you please tell me in the comments section? I really want to know. So, here I'm doing the line art for everything before going back in to do the coloring. And the line art went rather smoothly, as usual. So, I don't know. There's not really much to say there. And just going over the lines again. I need to stop doing that. And now I'm just doing the base coloring for everything. I really like the colors for Kishu. It was mainly just some reds, some browns, and greens. It was really nice. And also his yellow eyes. They were so cool. So here I'm doing the highlights before doing the shading. And doing the shading in really dark colors before lowering the opacity for that. And I'm going to add a pink background right in Kishu before doing Starfire from Teen Titans. Now, at this point, I had already done Kishu, so I was like, you know what, I can do another Teen Titans character. That's fine. So I'm just doing her little metal piece at the top before doing the rest of the details. And at this point, I was kind of having a problem with symmetry, surprisingly. Now, at this point, she was kind of having a little too much symmetry going on. She was kind of looking a little too symmetrical. So I kept trying to, in the second sketch layer, combating this symmetry because, I don't know, I didn't like it. Like, she looked a little too symmetrical, and that didn't look all that great. Like, if you're doing, like, maybe, like, a supervillain or something and you want it to look, like, eerily symmetrical, then, like, that could work. But this is Starfire we're talking about, so, I don't know, it didn't look quite right, so I kept trying to fix it later. So, here you can see me trying to battle the symmetry a little bit. So, I kept trying to do it with the hairline, but I only did the hairline solution a little later. So, here I'm just going over everything, the second sketch layer again. Doing her eyelashes and her mouth. And I did another open face smile for Starfire, just again to be sure that, hey, you can actually do this. This is something you can do. So here I also fixed the hairline just to make the hairline seem a little less symmetrical. And I also did that with bangs and a little bit of her hair at the bottom. And here you can see me scooching up the eyebrows because, I don't know, the eyebrows seemed a little too far down on the face to make it seem like she was smiling, so I raised them a bit to make it seem like she was indeed smiling and that she was indeed happy. So here I'm just doing the line art for everything before going in and adding the base colors. And with the base colors went rather smoothly except for her skin. Like, for her skin, I really kept trying to find her skin tone. Like, she has a really orange skin tone. So I kept trying to find that over and over of, like, oh, what looks orange but not too orange to the point where she's a citrus. To the point where she's like citrus. So here I'm just adding the highlights before doing the shading. And the highlights and shading went rather smoothly. But, like, at this point I kind of started to notice how varied my shading and highlights were for all of these characters. And I don't know, it didn't seem like that much of a problem, but I don't know. I liked the way I did Starfire. So, Starfire is done, and now I am doing Dipper from Gravity Falls. And Gravity Falls follows these two twins, Dipper and Mabel Pines, as they go to meet their uncle for the summer at Gravity Falls, Oregon. And in Gravity Falls, they start to notice all these weird phenomena, and then they find this journal detailing all these weird phenomena, and they use that to their advantage to... It's not necessarily defeat, because some of the journal entries are just like, oh, hey, there are these size-changing crystals. But it's just to sort of, like, use to their advantage to sort of help them against these wacky and dangerous situations. So here I'm just working on his face. And I did a different open-faced smile, like an open-mouth smile. Like, it's sort of this, like, one that you see a lot in cartoons where it's just, like, on the side of their face, just sort of grinning upward. I don't know what you call that. It's sort of like creeping up the mouth a little bit. I don't know how else to describe it. So here I just did his baseball cap. And you might see I'm going over it in black and not in blue like I usually do. And that's because I kind of realized I did it in the wrong layer. Do other artists have this problem? Like, I accidentally did it on the wrong layer on accident. And I don't know how I did that, but I accidentally did. So here I'm working on the true second sketch layer. So... here I'm just going over everything in blue, just to be sure of everything. And I might have, if I did his eyelashes any thicker, I kind of joked about this to myself. So if I did his eyelashes any thicker, I thought that maybe he might have looked sleep deprived. And I honestly wouldn't put it past him to pull an all-nighter just studying the journal. Because there are like 3 different journals. He probably would have scoured over his own journal that he had. So here I'm just doing the line art, going over his baseball cap, his vest, and everything else before going in and doing the coloring. And here I'm just debating over his facial features because it kind of bothered me that you couldn't see one of his eyebrows. And here I am just doing the base colors before doing everything else. And one of my family members said how I made his eyes way too big than they were, way bigger than they were in the show, because his eyes were like small black dots. But I don't know, I kind of like his eyes that I made for him, so I don't know. Here I'm just doing the shading and putting in the background and the text, and with that, the piece is done. Now, if you like my content and want content similar to this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, and please tell me in the comment section if you want me to do this challenge again. And with that, I hope you have a magnificent day, and I will see you all later.